The views expressed in this program do not necessarily reflect those of this station.
Welcome to Insights into Northeast Michigan, a WBKB News public affairs program. Insights deals with the issues affecting those in the community as well as Northeast Michigan and the state. And now, Insights into Northeast Michigan.
Welcome to Insights. I'm Sherry Stewart. Joining me for this episode is Carlene Shakutsky.
Hi, Sherry.
Hi there, who is the Executive Director of Partners in Prevention. So I'm so excited for you to be with me today.
I'm liking to be here. Thank you.
Well, we've got a lot to talk about, and we know that you are at the forefront of a new community initiative here that's going to expand well beyond Alpena. And what we are doing is looking at the correlation between what happens to us as children and that link with our long-term health. And so there's some acronyms that go along with that. So let's just jump right in and start explaining that.
Well, the findings are relatively new, and they've linked adversity in childhood to long-term negative health effects, and that term is adverse childhood experiences. And things like childhood adversity, trauma, toxic stress are they're all subsets of the overall view that has been proven that what happens to us in childhood and the biological effects of that have an impact on our lifetime trajectory and health. And when we're having health issues, when we're having effects on brain, we're finding ways to cope with adversity, and sometimes those aren't always the healthiest ways. Right. And so there again, that layering effect of why adversity in childhood is something we all need to really be paying attention to.
Right. And I love what we're saying about this is that we're going to start asking different questions. It's not what's wrong with you, but what happened to you.
Right, because the way that people's behavior is seen sometimes makes us think, well, they're maladapted, there's something wrong with them.
Right.
And when we look a little deeper, when we look below the tip of the iceberg to what's going on beneath, we see that really those behaviors were adaptive, and they were necessary at some point in their life to deal with whatever they were facing. Adversity in childhood can be things like we're normally familiar with: child abuse and neglect, or being physically abused.
Right.
But it can also be things in the environment, excessive and ongoing poverty. It can be things with family structure. So there's categories of household dysfunction, neglect, and abuse. And the basic study, the Adverse Childhood Experiences Study, back in 1999, start giving out this multitude of information that has been called the most significant public health findings of our time, and then subsequent studies have been done and expanded those original 10 adversities. But what we focus on, and what our grant from the Health Endowment Fund is focusing on, is reducing the intergenerational transmission of those ACEs. And in our community, we have a lot of the supports that are really necessary. It's a matter of making sure that people are aware of the importance of connecting to services and help, knowing you're not alone, knowing that we really need to look at young families who are struggling and not let those safety nets go, but actually make it the way things are, not a stigma attached to it, but this is how we care for families in our county.
Absolutely. And just going back a little bit, you were saying that some of the things that we're finding out, these maladaptive behaviors, were actually how somebody learned how to cope.
Exactly.
You know, not that it's something wrong with them, but this was how I was able to cope and maybe maneuver through this childhood, as you say, the adversity.
True. A young child who's in a chaotic situation and is always alert and watching for danger, maybe watching out for younger siblings, goes into a preschool classroom where it's safe and they don't need to be agitated and ready to fight. but they haven't learned that. So they have to learn new skills that help them function in a way where their environment is safe.
And I love that, because then perhaps do you think that maneuvers us away from the labeling of children at an early age? And that's so unfair, because again, we may not know the whole story, meaning perhaps educators.
Right. Yes. Yes, it's certainly something that schools are now across the country really working with in being trauma informed, having trauma informed classroom. It's not a new program, Sherry. It's a way of understanding what is coming to a classroom, for instance, or a preschool, what the behaviors we're seeing, what purpose they served. And so if we just change that, again, as you pointed out, from not what's wrong with this child, but what happened to them, and how do we create the safe environment that's going to calm their elevated stress response system. A stress response system, even adults can, I mean, we go from childhood to adulthood and we carry these adaptations with us.
Do.
So toxic stress, which is an elevated stress response system, which is part of our natural ability to survive. It's important, but we're only made to be in that stress response system for about 20 minutes. And if we're in an environment where that continues, it's like sitting in your car and revving it for hours.
And then the effect of that's not good on the engine.
Exactly,
not
and it's
good
not
on your
good. Same thing.
Yeah.
So we want to really be learning that. Our initiative is going to be attempting to get this information widespread into the community so everybody understands this.
Right.
And then we look at helping families, helping adults, helping children. You know, when you've got this load that is built up over time, it's like a truck that's loaded, and you keep putting something on, and you keep putting something on, and it's making its way, and then it gets to be so heavily loaded that it can't move.
Right.
And so our community supports and the services is like, okay, addressing this situation, bring another truck and offload some of that stuff.
Right.
Through learning to cope, through learning to understand what's happened to me and how it affects me. So it's really, it's not rocket science, but it is science. It's neuroscience in terms of the effects on the brain, and it's really just a lot of concern that's already present in the community, and linking that together.
And you're just going to be linking that together. So
We're-
that's what we can be looking to
Yes.
see over the next course of months and years as we noodle more into this
Yes,
project and bringing the data to the forefront.
In a generation, you know, in a
absolutely.
generation, we could be in a better place.
Absolutely, and so that's certainly one of the hopeful outcomes of this
Yes,
initiative.
yes.
So we look to see more of this, Carlene. I want to thank you so much for joining me today and giving us
welcome.
just a little bit of the tip of the iceberg of what we
Exactly.
have to be looking forward to, not just in Alpena, but Alpena County as you continue with this
Yes.
project. So we will be back with more insights right after this. Welcome back to Insights. Joining me now is Leslie Dort with Friends Together. You are the program manager for this wonderful organization.
Yes.
And you have a wonderful background story, and I want you to tell me more about it. I know you said you started with $75. The
Yes.
organization started with $75. Over the years, you've gone from $75, that is,
Yes.
to over $300,000 helping people throughout the community. A lot of them are cancer survivors. So give me a little bit of the backstory.
And that 300,000 that we need to raise every year is from donations, individual donations, foundation donations. Our hospital gives us money each year. So it's really the community that keeps us running. I like to think about it as it's neighbor giving to neighbor. We're the conduit to help those
Right.
with cancer.
Right, right.
But yes, you're right. We started with $75, and that was in 1996. Judy Burns had recently lost her young daughter in her 20s to colon cancer. And she had promised her daughter that no one would need to walk the journey alone like they felt they did. So she was an insurance agent at the time, and she decided she's going to open an organization that's all about supporting people with cancer. And that's Friends Together was born. So $75 and a promise from mom to daughter.
Wow, a promise
Yeah.
fulfilled.
Yes.
Absolutely,
And
absolutely.
still going.
Absolutely. So tell me about some of the programs. I know that you're primarily over the women programming
Yes.
for the organization, but tell me, I know you do so much in the community and helping people. So give me a little bit of a background on the different programs
Sure.
that you have.
Yep. We have a thriving transportation program, and with transportation is some lodging help, and I can explain that later. We also have approximately 30 support groups that happen every month for all different groups of folks. So we'll have a women's only support group, we have a men only support group, we have support groups for the caregiver in the family, we have support groups for teens, we have most of our support groups happen in our building,
Okay.
in this room that we're sitting
Sure.
in. But we're very fortunate also to have some amazing volunteers in our neighboring counties because we support not just Alpena, but the surrounding 5 counties.
Right, right.
So we also have support groups in Rogers City and Mayo. And then we are developing support groups with a volunteer group in Tawas and in Hillman.
Wow.
So we'll really have the area covered that if you need support, it's not going to be far away.
Well, which is really important that you're touching all these different communities around just the city of Alpena,
Yeah.
of course. And I know we were talking off camera is that when it comes to cancer and the treatment, we can hear that people need chemo or radiation, but we don't always sometimes realize that those appointments could be daily and you need
Right.
transportation.
Right,
and
that is
sometimes
a
lodging.
surprise.
Yeah.
And before I started working here, I would not have realized that somebody would have to refuse treatment
Yeah.
for a cancer that could be put in remission because they didn't have the way to get to treatment.
Yeah.
So if your treatment, for example, includes radiation, radiation is often daily, and it's daily for weeks. So you're pretty healthy and spry at the beginning of it, but of course anything over several days gets tiring.
Absolutely.
So if you don't have a vehicle or you're not up to driving yourself, you would have to refuse treatment. Well, we have 2 vans, and Shelley does an amazing job coordinating it and organizing 20 volunteer drivers. So if you need a ride, if that's what's keeping you from getting treatment, we're not going to charge you. That's, again, where your neighbor's money
Yeah,
come in.
absolutely.
Right? So they give us money, we buy gas for the van and take you to treatment. It's just beautiful. And if you need a second opinion to go to, say, Mid-Michigan Midland or U of M in Ann Arbor, your appointment's at 8 a.m. We don't want you driving at 3 a.m.
No.
So we'll get you a hotel for the night before. So you and your family can get down there and relax before you have to go to that appointment.
Wow, that is such impactful, wonderful work that you're doing in the community because it doesn't just help the patient, it expands to their family.
Definitely. The journey isn't just the patient's.
Right. It involves so many other
does.
people.
And I think oftentimes it's the caregivers or the people who love people with cancer that are sometimes overlooked because they're traveling that cancer journey as well.
Right.
They're just doing it in a different way. And then some people just need support in a way of a gas card. So we have gas cards here, we have some at the Cancer Center, and if people need a little bit of extra help, cancer is expensive. Even with really good insurance, cancer is expensive.
Yeah, we know. Yeah.
Yep.
So tell me about some of the things that you might have going on this calendar year. I know you're busy with the support groups, and you do. So, are there any special things that any fundraiser, anything special that you're doing this year, and how can the community help support you?
Great. Yeah, we are always doing something. I think at last count we had 49 events a year. we think that there's only 52
busy
weeks.
calendar.
Yeah, it's a revolving door, but it keeps the money coming in so we can keep supporting people. So we're glad to do it. This Friday is our Friday night with friends comedy night, which is we've been doing it for 20 years now. So we bring up an entertainment act. It's sold out. It's been sold out for a couple of weeks now out at KFC Hall.
Okay.
Then we have a day of cheer on the 12th where we actually go to the Cancer Center. We're bringing lots of soups, and it's just a pampering of the staff. They're just amazing. And the patients can reminisce. And then we've got a Valentine's Bash coming up.
I bet that's going to be fun.
That's going to be fun. That'll be on the 15th.
Okay.
And those tickets are on sale now, and that's at KFC. And there's dinner and dancing. And then there's all kinds of different activities as well.
Lots of great things going on to
Oh,
continue,
all the
so that you
time.
can continue the work,
Yep.
helping people. And as you say, cancer is expensive. It is
Right.
expensive with good insurance or not. So.
Absolutely.
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 Well, how
yeah.
can people get in contact with you if they know of somebody, if they want to support you? Where should they go if they need the services? They want to refer somebody. What
Mm-hmm.
should they? What path should they take?
Well, they can call us any weekday. So our phone number, 356-3231. We're here from 8:30 to 4:30 every weekday.
Okay.
They could also email us, go to our website, which is getting a new facelift in the next couple of weeks. It should be up. They always have that ability to connect with us.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, I want to thank you, Leslie, for spending this time with me, telling us a little bit more about the organization. You've been here for so many years, since 1996, as you said, but sometimes people don't always know how you have evolved, and maybe not all of the services that you're able to provide to help people maneuver that difficult road of cancer.
It's really a beautiful place. It's a very Friends Together is a place that's full of joy. It is not a sad building. You don't walk in here to people
No, this
crying.
is lovely. This is a lovely, calming room, as
It
we were
is.
saying.
It's peaceful and it's happy, and we find joy in every moment. And it's just a beautiful place to be, whether you're staff or you're somebody who comes in through the door.
Well, very nice. We'll leave it at that. I
Yeah.
want to thank you again for joining
Thank
me.
you.
This has been Insights. We have another segment coming up right after this. Welcome back to Insights. Joining me now is Connie Steffen. Welcome, Connie.
Thank you.
And you are a team captain for Relay for Life, which is coming up in August.
Yes.
And I know you're very passionate about this because you are a cancer survivor.
Yes. I'm an 11-year cancer survivor of central nervous system lymphoma.
So you obviously have a vested interest in this and want to see the community come out to support and be a part of this important event. So tell me a little bit about how the Relay for Life works and how the fundraising helps support the fight against cancer.
Well, we usually have 20 to up to 30 teams that have activities all year long to raise money. And the money is turned in at meetings throughout the year. And then we hope for a goal. We set a goal, which is $100,000. And hopefully we meet that goal. And for this year, we're doing a lasagna fundraiser as our big fundraiser.
Okay, so the monies that are raised, they go to a national level to support research on a
Yes,
national
yes.
level to fight against cancer,
find a
to
cure.
find cures for cancer.
Yes.
Okay, so tell me a little bit more about your journey. Walk me through that. I know you were telling me that it was, traumatic and a little bit frightening. So tell me a little bit more about that.
I had knee surgery in January, and I was limping around, just recovering from knee surgery, and didn't pay attention. And I had slipped and fell, and my husband thought I had a stroke. So we went to emergency room, and my doctor said, "Wow, when you do it big." So they sent me to Petoskey, and I was there for a week, and they couldn't find anything wrong. So then they shut me down to Detroit, and they did a brain biopsy and found that I had central nervous system lymphoma, which is a very rare cancer. Only 10 cases in Michigan when I had it. Said I would never be cured, but I am cured.
And thankfully, you are cured so that you can be here with your family, the community, so that you can be another champion that we have locally, certainly to help bring greater awareness to what's needed in cancer research. So tell me about the Relay for Life. So what are you doing with that? So you have your team. How many folks are on your team?
Up to 30.
Up to 30, okay. And you're raising this money. I know you said the lasagna fundraiser.
Yes, my team is Connie's Angels.
Okay.
And so we start out throughout through the year. So our biggest one happening right now is the lasagna. And it's open to all the teams in Relay because we feel that it all is one cause, shouldn't be individual teams.
Right. So now how can people get involved with that? So if people want to buy the lasagna, how does that work? Are you taking orders online, or do they reach out to you? Because there may be somebody obviously that's watching, they just want to be able to support, just helping raise money for cancer research, because we know so many people, their lives have been touched by cancer.
You can call Connie's Cafe or any team captain. There's quite a list of team captains. You can get a hold of me.
Okay. And the Relay for Life is open to people from all ages, from little bitty babies that are just learning to walk to the seniors.
Yes, definitely.
Okay. Now, what else is happening? I know we have several months before August. Anything that you're doing in between now? I know you have the lasagna fundraiser. Anything that you're having in between that time as we get closer to August?
In March, we have our Relay Rally, it's called. And a lot of teams that haven't started a team can come there and get to know what's going on. We'll have a place you can sign up, and we have an auction. It's at the Eagles Club in Alpena.
Okay.
It'll be free to come, and it's potluck dinner.
Okay, okay. Now, I know we were talking a little bit off mic, is that there's so many different things that you can think of when you need support as you maneuver the cancer journey. What else does Relay for Life do? So what else happens with that? So on the day of the race, on the day of the relay, I should say, what happens on that day? Once you've raised the funds, what do you actually do on that day in August?
And that day in August, well, we have a survivors brunch.
Okay.
As we walk around the track, there is survivors go around the wonderful track, the length of the track, and that's when they get to the end for the first time. Our theme this year is heroes, so there'll be a hero waiting to greet them
Okay.
and to honor them.
That's nice.
And then the next lap is the caregivers lap, and they join together. And then after that, we go to the survivors brunch.
Okay, all right. So that's a full day, and it actually is from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. So you have a full day.
Yes.
A full day of activities, and people can walk around the track as many times as they
constantly,
want.
yes.
Really. Now this is not your first year doing this.
Ninth year.
This is your ninth year.
Yes.
This is your ninth year. Are you getting the type of support this year that you have in the past years, or?
Well, teams are dwindling down, which is very sad, and we're not sure how to get old teams back and new teams. And so that is our biggest problem that we're facing right now, is just recruiting even survivors for my survivor stuff is very hard to do.
What do you think the reason is? It because I mean it could be anything, but what are you finding out? What are people saying to you?
We don't know. Our passion is so strong that we can't understand why.
Right. You're definitely passionate
Yes.
about it, truly.
And
yeah.
we just hoping that something like this would reach out to people. To find a cure is, you see people that are sick, and it's just very wrenching to us. And so that's the only way we're going to get it done, is to have people be involved and not be afraid to get involved.
Right, and not to be afraid to be
Yes,
involved.
yes.
Absolutely.
And this group is wonderful. We share all the stuff, and everybody raises the money together.
Well, that's wonderful. And so the wonderful thing about Relay for Life is that it's happening all around the country. So there's happening in neighborhoods and communities all across the country, not just Alpena, but to raise those funds that are important for cancer research.
Yes.
Now, what would you say to someone that, what encouraging words would you have for someone that, the individual or family members that are facing news that they have been diagnosed with cancer? What encouraging words would you have for them?
It's devastating. I know when you go through it, it's hard to say to someone, I know what you're going through, because they don't.
Right.
No one knows what you're going through. And to watch somebody not get better, it's very hard, which we're going through right now. But you just support them and try to say you're there for them. I cook food for people and bring it to them, because it just comforts people. And at Relay, we just try to welcome each other with open arms and answer whatever questions they have.
So it's really just the little things.
Yes, a
It's
lot of
just-
little things.
Just a lot of little things. Well, Connie, I want to thank you for coming in today and sharing your story with us. We wish you much success as the team captain for this year's Relay for Life, and congratulations on your 11th year as a cancer survivor. And I believe that anniversary is today, right?
Sunday.
Absolutely. All
you.
right. Well,
Thank you.
thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
All right. Well, this has been Insights. I'm Sherry Stewart. Thank you again for watching.
Insights into Northeast Michigan is produced by WBKB News. If you have any comments, suggestions, or topics you would like to see on a future show, please email WBKB News. This has been a production of Thunder Bay Broadcasting Corporation. All rights reserved.